Imagine, if you will, the vast, empty expanse of the Pacific Ocean. For generations, this has been the backyard of the United States Navy, a blue water empire patrolled by steel behemoths, floating cities that project American power to the farthest corners of the globe. This has been the accepted reality, the status quo, since the end of the Second World War. The aircraft carrier strike group was the queen on the global chessboard, and no other piece could touch her. But history has a funny way of turning accepted realities on their head. It often does so with a single game-changing innovation, a new weapon, a new idea. And in the early 21st century, a shadow began to fall over this uncontested dominance. A shadow cast by a weapon with a chillingly direct nickname, the Carrier Killer. This weapon is known officially as the Dongfeng 21D, or DF-21D. Dongfeng means east wind, a name that evokes a sense of natural, unstoppable force. It's a medium-range ballistic missile developed by the People's Republic of China. Now, ballistic missiles are nothing new. The German V-2 rockets of World War II were ballistic missiles. The massive intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, of the Cold War were designed to carry nuclear warheads across continents. They go up, they arc through space, and they come down. But the DF-21D is something different. It's something that military planners had for a long time considered to be almost science fiction. It's a ballistic missile designed not to hit a city or a sprawling military base, a static, unmoving target, but to hit a moving ship at sea. Think about the sheer audacity of that concept for a moment. So how does this celestial dagger actually work? How does China propose to solve this incredibly complex physics problem of hitting a moving target from space? The process is a multi-stage symphony of advanced technology, often referred to by military analysts as a kill chain. It begins not with the missile itself, but with finding the target. You can't hit what you can't see. China has invested heavily in a vast network of sensors designed to locate an American carrier strike group in the immense emptiness of the ocean. Over-the-horizon radar systems, reconnaissance satellites, long-range patrol aircraft, submarines. The goal is to get a fix on the carrier's position. Once the target is located, the information is relayed. The DF-21D is launched from a mobile, truck-mounted platform. Mobility is key. Launchers hidden deep in mainland China and moved constantly, hard to find before they fire. The missile blasts off, ascending on a ballistic trajectory into near space. It's traveling at incredible speeds, many times the speed of sound. For most of its journey, it follows a predictable arc governed by gravity. But the final, terminal phase is revolutionary. During descent at hypersonic speeds, Mach 5 to Mach 10, it's no longer a dumb projectile. It becomes a sophisticated hunter, a maneuverable re-entry vehicle, or MARV. The warhead has its own guidance systems, radar seekers, infrared seekers, small thrusters for course corrections. It's actively scanning the ocean below for the carrier group. Maneuverability makes the final flight path unpredictable, a nightmare for defenses trying to intercept. To understand why the DF-21D is such a profoundly destabilizing weapon, you first have to understand what the aircraft carrier represents to the United States. It's more than just a big ship with planes. The American supercarrier is the living, breathing embodiment of global power projection, a floating, sovereign piece of American territory, a 100,000-ton instrument of diplomacy and, when necessary, destruction. When a crisis erupts anywhere in the world, the first question a U.S. president often asks is, where are the carriers? The arrival of a carrier strike group off a hostile coast is one of the most powerful geopolitical signals. It's a statement. We are here, and we have the capacity to act. These ships are mobile air bases, Nimitz-class carrier, Ford-class carrier. It can carry an air wing of around 75 aircraft, fighter jets, electronic warfare planes, early warning and control aircraft. A single carrier has the combat air power of a small nation. It can launch hundreds of sorties a day, striking hundreds of miles inland, or establishing air superiority over vast ocean areas. It lets the U.S. project force without foreign basing rights. Unparalleled flexibility. A carrier can move 500 miles in a single day. The carrier never sails alone. It is the centerpiece of a carrier strike group. The importance of the aircraft carrier to the United States Navy cannot be overstated. It is the very heart of the fleet's combat doctrine. The entire structure of modern American naval power has been built around the carrier and its air wing. Since the battles of the Pacific in World War II, like Midway, where carrier-based aircraft sank the pride of the Japanese fleet, the carrier has been the undisputed capital ship. It replaced the battleship as the primary measure of a Navy's strength. The operational philosophy of the U.S. Navy revolves around establishing sea control and projecting power, and the Carrier Strike Group is the primary tool for achieving both of these objectives. It's not just another asset, it is the asset. Losing an aircraft carrier would be a disaster of almost unimaginable proportions, and the impact would be felt far beyond the immediate tactical loss. On a human level, it would mean the deaths of thousands of American sailors and aviators, a national tragedy on a scale not seen since Pearl Harbor. The psychological shock to the American public and the military would be immense. It would shatter the long-held perception of American technological and military invincibility, a nation that has not seen one of its capital ships sunk by an enemy since 1945. The Dongfeng 21D changes the fundamental geometry of naval conflict. For decades, the carrier's defense was based on a simple principle: destroy threats before they can get close. The carrier's own fighter jets could intercept enemy bombers hundreds of miles away. Its escort ships could shoot down sea-skimming cruise missiles. The defense was layered, creating a bubble of security around the carrier. But the DF-21D attacks from a direction no one was truly prepared for, straight down. It doesn't fly low and slow like a traditional anti-ship missile. It plunges from the upper atmosphere at hypersonic speeds. This creates a completely new and honestly terrifying threat vector that bypasses many of the traditional layers of defense. This new reality creates what military strategists call anti-access/area denial, A2AD, an environment that denies access. The DF-21D, with its estimated range of over 900 miles, can create a vast bubble of ocean where a U.S. carrier strike group can no longer operate with impunity. A U.S. Navy admiral would have to think very carefully before ordering his multi-billion-dollar carrier and its 5,000-strong crew into that weapon engagement zone. This effectively gives China the ability to hold American naval power at arm's length, to keep it away from its coastline, and critically, away from potential flashpoints like Taiwan. While the missile itself is, the star of the show, the true strength and potential weakness of the DF-21D system lies in its kill chain. This is the entire process, from finding the carrier to guiding the missile to its target. It's a long and complex chain, and honestly, every link must hold for it to work. As we discussed, it starts with a vast intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance, or ISR network. China uses everything from satellites, over-the-horizon radar drones, fishing vessels, to try and pinpoint the location of a U.S. carrier strike group. This is the first, and perhaps most critical link. If you can't find the carrier, you really can't launch the missile. This reliance on a complex network of sensors is also the system's Achilles heel, and it's where the U.S. Navy is focusing many of its counter-efforts. The American military is a world leader in electronic warfare. The goal is to break that kill chain. Can you jam the radars? Can you blind the satellites? Can you feed the network false information, making them think the carrier is in one place when it's actually hundreds of miles away? This is the silent, unseen battle of the 21st century, a war of electrons and signals being fought long before any missile leaves its launcher. The carrier strike group itself has powerful electronic warfare aircraft, like the E/A-18G Growler, whose entire job is to disrupt and deceive enemy sensors. But this is a constant cat-and-mouse game. The concern over the DF-21D isn't just theoretical. Military leaders, strategists, defense analysts. Their words paint a sobering picture of a shifting balance of power. For years, Pentagon reports to Congress have highlighted the growing threat posed by China's anti-ship ballistic missile program. These are formal assessments from the highest levels of the U.S. defense establishment. They acknowledge that China has achieved an operational capability with these weapons, specifically designed to counter the primary way the United States has projected power for over 75 years. In 2015, Admiral Samuel Locklear said the system had reached initial operational capability. That declaration was a watershed moment. It moved the DF-21D into a present-day reality commanders had to plan for. Other experts like Andrew Krapinovich have used starker terms. He warned these weapons could make aircraft carriers as obsolete as battleships after Pearl Harbor. The argument: it's becoming too easy and too cheap to destroy hugely expensive, manpower-intensive platforms. One of the most chilling proofs comes from actions, not words. Satellite imagery shows China built large, elaborate mock-ups of American aircraft carriers, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers in the Taklamakan Desert. These aren't crude outlines. they're detailed, full-scale targets. Faced with this existential threat, the United States is not standing still. A frantic and multifaceted effort is underway to develop countermeasures. This is a race against time, a technological and strategic competition of the highest stakes. The response can be broken down into several key areas. First, improve the fleet's defenses. Upgrading the Aegis combat system with new software, more capable interceptor missiles, Standard Missile 3, Standard Missile 6. These are being designed to engage maneuvering ballistic missiles. Beyond shooting the missile down, the Navy is investing in non-kinetic effects, breaking the kill chain without firing a shot, electronic warfare, cyber warfare, directed energy, the goals, blind sensors, disrupt communications, spoof guidance systems, equipping ships and aircraft with next-generation jammers, decoys, research into directed energy weapons, high-powered lasers, microwave weapons. These could dazzle or destroy incoming warhead electronics, offering a deeper magazine than interceptor missiles. Perhaps the most profound response is a shift in naval strategy itself. The Navy is moving to distributed maritime operations. DMO, move away from concentrating power in one or two massive carrier strike groups. Distribute forces over a wider area. Use smaller ships. Use more numerous ships. Use unmanned ships. A dispersed fleet is much harder to find and target. It complicates the enemy's targeting problem. If they can't find your ships, they can't hit them with carrier-killer missiles. This also changes the carrier's role. Instead of sailing into the A2/AD bubble, the carrier may stand off outside DF-21D range. Use longer-range unmanned aerial vehicles. Use new long-range missiles. The carrier becomes less of a spear tip, more of a mothership, or a command and control hub operating from relative safety. A fundamental change in carrier doctrine. The days of sailing with impunity close to an enemy shore are over, at least against a peer like China. The carrier is adapting to survive. The Dongfeng 21D is more than just a missile. It is a symbol of a fundamental shift in the global military landscape. It represents the end of an era of uncontested American maritime dominance, the dawn of a new age of great power competition. For the first time since the Cold War, the U.S. Navy faces a peer competitor with a credible, land-based weapon. The calm waters of the post-Cold War world have given way to a new, uncertain storm.